All right, let's start that again. So we're doing the inverse of functions and the inverse of relationships. And if we think about the, if we want to know what an inverse is, it is the exchange of the inputs for the outputs. So for example, if I had a relationship where the inputs were 0, 1, 2, 3, and the outputs are, so y's are usually the outputs. So I will have 1, 4, 3, and 1. The inverse, and today, in my notes, I'm going to write all inverses in red, if we like that. So whenever you see red, we're talking about the inverse. Gold, it's not a very gold. That orangey thing next to it, I don't think it's that great of a color. I'll see if I like it. But all right, so the inverse would be exchanging the outputs for the inputs. So my inputs for the inverse formula are going to be 1, 4, 3, 1. I like the red better. And the outputs are the 0, 1, 2, 3. So let me make a graph here. Okay. I'll graph first the relationship, the original relationship, 0, 1, 1, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, and that's enough. 2, 3, and 3, 1. There's my original relationship. The inverse relationship is going to be 1, 0, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 2, and 1, 3. Okay, so there's a relationship and its inverse on the same graph. It is a reflection across the line y equals x. So I'll do that for this one. There is the line y equals x. So do you see that reflection? The black one to the red one to the black one, black to red, black to red. Okay. So the inverse is y equals x. That would be 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. So y equals x. Sorry. Okay. All right. Now we won't always get points. Sometimes we'll get functions. So let me find the inverse. Of y equals 3x minus 10. So if I just have this as an equation, I still exchange the x for the y. So the inverse is x equals 3y minus 10. And that equation is fine, but let me solve it for y, in case I need to graph it or something. So to solve this for y, first I'll add 10 to both sides, and I'll get x plus 10 equals 3y. Divide both sides by 3, and I'll get y equals x plus 10 divided by 3. So my inverse is y equals x plus 10 over 3. Okay, and do that again with a little bit harder function. So let's find the inverse. Yeah, but we like things kind of to be in function notation, so we tend to solve for the y. But when we rewrite it, the first time we rewrite the inverse, if we're writing from y equals, it'll become x equals, because we're exchanging the x for the y. And this is the This is the inverse. It's just the form is not in kind of function notation or anything. So we usually take it to the step of solving all the way for y in that equation. Yeah, exchange the x and y and then solve for the y. Okay, then let's find the inverse of f of x equals x squared plus 2. Oh, minus 2, sorry. Just keep this consistent here. All right, so I want to exchange the x for the x for the y, but I don't have a y. Where's the y in this equation? F of x means y. So this function is y equals x squared minus 2. Now, I exchange the x for the y. I solve for the y. Add 2 to both sides of this equation. I get x plus 2 equals y squared. To get y, I square root both sides of this equation. But remember, when you square root both sides of an equation, you always have to add the plus minus. Okay? When I add the plus or minus, I have now turned this into two equations. What this really means is y equals the positive square root of x plus 2, and y equals the negative of the square root of x plus 2. Okay? Yes? Can't hear? Sure. Shh, guys, I can't hear a question that's at a normal voice. To the previous problem? Or is that fine? Okay. So now when I go to find the inverse and I end up making two separate equations, I end up making these two separate equations because this equation that's y equals plus minus square root of x plus 2, it's not a single function. It is two functions. If I want to write it in function notation, I write, what happened to my pen? All right, I've written this 3 times so far. Where's my pen? No. It's moving through those just fine. It's on the red color. Let me see if I can get the highlighter. Why isn't it doing it? Well, it doesn't have, that's just a string holding it on. It's a sensor. Okay, it's working fine with the finger. Actually, yeah, I might just end up doing this with a finger. All right, so this is f of x, but since it's the inverse, I get to call it -1 as a little exponent. Oh, that's awfully small to write with my finger. Equals square root of x plus 2. No, that's gosh, I don't know why the pen doesn't want to work, because that's a 1 up there, but I can't, my finger isn't, that's a -1. It says f -1, little exponent -1, that means inverse, is the square root of x plus 2. And this is just weird having to write this with my finger, but that's okay. F inverse is the negative square root of x plus 2. Okay. All right. So when I end up with two functions, I have to say that the inverse is not a function.